Hello there. What is going on, everybody? We've got ourselves a fancy preview of the Battle of Yavin scenario pack. This is going to be bringing a lot to Star Wars X-Wing, and it represents a big change in the way that we might be seeing new content coming out from Atomic Mass Games for Star Wars X-Wing. We're going to talk about this and what this could also mean for the future, because this is the first of several scenario packs. So we're going to be getting more than just this. So this is kind of like a blueprint, perhaps, for the future. Now, we don't have any details on future stuff beyond this, but that's okay. We've got a lot to talk about right here. We're going to be talking about the scenario. We're going to be talking about the new types of quick builds, or basically the standardized loadouts that we're going to see in here. And yeah, it looks pretty interesting. I'm not going to lie. And I'll be honest, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. All right, so before we do any of that, a little bit of admin stuff. We are still giving away a Shadow Collective core set for Star Wars Legion in the form of a $70 Amazon gift card. If you are new here, you haven't already entered to win that, you still have time. All you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. And also, I want to thank today's sponsor, Luxury Playstyle. Be sure to check out luxuryplaystyle.com for some amazing full metal tokens. You're absolutely going to love these. They're double-sided. They're gorgeous. They're heavy. They're just going to blow you away. They're going to knock your socks off. Use code Crabbok VIP to save 15%. And if you use that code and spend $35 or more, you're going to get a free lightsaber nunchuck Crabbok token thrown in there. Crabbok, the C on the Crabbok token is really good for marking critical hits, or you can use it just to mark damage, or for other games if you need to settle a bet. Light side versus dark side is blue on one side, red on the other. Pretty cool stuff. So head over to luxuryplaystyle.com, check them out. All right, so the Battle of Yavin pack, it was talked about a little bit at Star Wars Celebration. It was also talked about at other mini extravaganzas, and we finally have a preview of it. It's going to be two different things. So it's going to be a new scenario. A 35 point is the limit that they kind of expect you to play at this scenario. So again, a big game, and that can be fun. Bigger games, having more minis on the table can certainly be fun, especially with points changes too. You're like, this is a way for you to get like a lot more ships on the battlefield. But also, it's going to have new standardized loadout cards, which are going to be like the deluxe quick builds kind of. Think about how a quick build was for the initial stages of X-Wing 2.0, and then think about how they started towards the end of that. Like FFG kind of started doing this, where they did like super deluxe quick builds that had the text of all the cards on there. All right, think of that. But now take it a step further and say, hey, if you run this, even though this might not be the way that you wanted to build the ship, we're going to give you some special bonuses. And in some cases, like examples, like there might be stuff that they normally couldn't take otherwise, like maybe an extra torpedo or something that normally wouldn't go on the ship. Or you might, in some cases, what we've learned is you might have all new ship abilities. And so this is really interesting. It's like a whole new way to, or a whole new lens to look at X-Wing through. And the cool thing is that they are totally compatible. Like you can run these in your normal lists, so you don't have to use them, but it's an extra option. So like if you don't want like the Darth Vader that's from here and you want to build your own Darth Vader, you can do that. Or if you want to run this Darth Vader, you can. If you want to run Darth Vader in a TIE Defender, like he's already in an X-Wing, you can do that too. So you have different options, and so all of that is really interesting. Now let's talk about the scenario first. Now, the scenario itself is kind of designed off of Episode 4's Battle of Yavin. You have basically the stuff that, for the most part, the stuff that you're going to see in the film, with one exception, and that is, if you've noticed, the TIE Interceptor on the cover. They talk about this. They did an Atomic Mass Transmissions, and of course, if you follow AMG on social media, or if you follow I usually retweet a lot of their stuff that I think is relevant to you guys too. Basically, there's a link in there where you can go and read all about the design decisions behind this. And there's a very good reason for the TIE Interceptor to be included. There's actually two parts. One is that in canon, they did have TIE Interceptors at that time in a prototype stage. And so they made a conscious decision to include them, and they're more representative of prototype TIE Interceptors as opposed to the mass production TIE Interceptors that you would see in Return of the Jedi timeframe. And so that does make sense. And again, Empire has stuff a lot more stuff than we see in the films, and all of the media that we consume kind of really lends itself to that. Like if you go back and watch Star Wars Rebels, you're going to see lots of different stuff, that the Empire had that just wasn't in the films. So from the entire, the entire like 19 years or so of the Empire that predates Episode 4, there's a lot more stuff than we normally see. And this is really, it's a cool fact because especially with all the new Disney Plus shows coming out in the past, like Andor is coming out sometime soon also. And, all of that is going to be really cool opportunities for us to see more things that did exist that weren't necessarily on screen. But the other reason is game balance. Right? Like that, you don't want it to be just TIE fighters and then Darth Vader, because that would kind of make for maybe a little bit less diverse pack. And so since you got so many X-Wings and Y-Wings and they're kind of diverse, I think they wanted to kind of just diversify this pack a little bit. Also, there's going to be more packs, right? And so you kind of want to make sure there's a certain level of, hey, we're hitting at least 2 ships in each pack. My guess is that's something we're going to see. I don't expect they're going to have a single, like packs like this in the future that have like only 1 ship type in it. I guess that's possible, but I think they probably want to diversify the ships a little bit because that also gives you more for this pack. If you've got a big Empire collection, you don't want to be like, oh, I've got this whole pack and I can do Darth Vader and I can only do TIE fighters, right? You want to have a little bit more. You want to feel like you're getting a little bit more value for the pack. So I think it makes sense to have included another ship, and the TIE Interceptor works, and they explain why it works in the article. And so that's cool. And basically, it's going to be kind of like a trench run scenario. There's going to be 2 oversized cards that come in here that you can use for this scenario. They talk a little bit about it, like, hey, if you want to give somebody an attack run, then they're going to be making that run. They're going to go through, and they have to try to get that precise hit. And I will say that a lot of homebrew Death Star Trench scenarios have been done. So I'm interested to see. I've even come up with my own. At one point, I actually built a Death Star Trench out of foam. I have it out in the garage somewhere. I don't know. I need to go dig it out. But, and there's been a lot of Death Star Trench tables that were very, very common in the early days of X-Wing, and people kind of stopped using them a little bit because some of the play mats, kind of like with all of the Death Star Trench like bits and the lines, it was almost like a chessboard, and so you're like, with the rules against pre-measuring at the time and all this other stuff, it was like, wait, I don't need to pre-measure because if we're playing on a Death Star board, I know, oh, I'm 12 squares away from you, so I know exactly what range that is. And so it was like, so people kind of got away from flying unprinted Death Star mats as much. But if you're playing in a scenario, you don't have to be that like tournament precision level about it, and you can kind of relax a little bit and just have some fun with it. So I think it's going to be a fun scenario to have. It's a very iconic scenario to have, and it. Like they talked at one point about kind of taking X-Wing back to its roots, and I think a Death Star attack run scenario, being one of the very first scenarios that really ever showed up in this game, is a perfect option for that. So very cool, very cool. And let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards. So we talked a little bit about TIE Interceptors. We've got Iden Versio here in a TIE Interceptor. So again, that's cool, right? She was in a TIE Fighter before. I love seeing Iden Versio in a TIE Interceptor. And we've got like a similar ability, but it's pretty cool. First off, you're going to notice a whole bunch of things. I want to talk about the layout of the card first. No, actually, let me jump back. I want to talk about the artwork first, because that's still the most prominent feature on here is the artwork. We've got all new artwork for these cards, and they are absolutely fantastic. Mwah! Chef's kiss to the artists and everybody involved in making these cards look as beautiful as they did. Love that. I love that you're seeing like the engine glow of an X-Wing like in this guy's sights, right? Or in this guy, in Iden Versio's sights. Like amazing artwork for this TIE Interceptor. So really, really cool. It's still 3 attack, 3 shields, 3 hull, 3 attack, 3 agility, 3 hull, 1 shield on the TIE Interceptor, which is pretty cool. 2 charge recurring charges. And it says, before a friendly TIE at range 0 to 1 would suffer damage, you may spend 2 charge if you do prevent 1. So you're going to be able to get that ability back. So that's something you'll be able to do multiple times over the course of a battle. You do still have a sensitive controls. The action bar is going to be down here. Now, an interesting thing, too, is that when you get any of your abilities, which are going to be over here, these are all your upgrade cards, right? You've got Predator and Fanatic. The old-style quick builds would just say Predator and Fanatic, wouldn't give you the text. Also, if you have an ability over here that gives you an action, it's going to be reflected on the action bar. This is going to be really, really friendly for new players, although new players might have a little bit of confusion if they want to kind of change over from this to building their own lists. Granted, you do things incrementally, so I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker. I think it's going to be kind of cool. I actually really like this because with as large of an X-Wing collection as I have, I admit that I'm just lazy and I don't like having to dig through all of it to try to find stuff. And yes, as some of you have pointed out, well, you can use card binders and storage and all that stuff. I certainly can. Still don't like having to do it. That's like a pet peeve of mine for every game I play. I hate having to dig through everything and then have to put it all away. And X-Wing makes it a little bit harder because there's so much more that this is really convenient. And I think this is going to be a great way. Like, if any of these changes were going to get me to be playing more in-person X-Wing, I think this is a big, big step towards doing that. So, which is really, really fun for me. So I'm looking forward to this. I think this will be a fun pack to run. So we've got Iden Versio there, Initiative 4 TIE Interceptor. We've got Pops! Again, and you're going to see a lot of pilots coming back. There's going to be a lot of pilots coming back into this, which is really cool. So Pops, we've got still 2162. While you perform a turret attack, you may reroll up to 2 attack dice. Pops has Hope. After another friendly ship at range 0 to 3 is destroyed, you may perform a focus or boost action. Very cool. And Pops comes with the ion cannon turret and an advanced proton torpedo and the R4 astromech. Well, again, I was talking about the ion cannon turret, right? Like it gives you the your turret move. So you like, and that's already built into the action bar. So it makes it kind of consistent, and so I like that. I like that quite a bit. Very cool stuff. We've got Darth Vader. Darth Vader has gotten a little bit of an upgrade here. All right, now this is not your TIE Defender Darth Vader. This is Darth Vader in the TIE Advanced X1, and he's got an extra shield. All right, he's 2-3-3-3-3 as opposed to like 2-3-3-2-3, right? So he's upgraded a little bit. And so a little bit more in line with the TIE Defender. But again, only the 2 primary attack. But he's got some changes here. He doesn't gain that extra action that the original Darth Vader and the TIE X1 has. This is a little bit more, different Darth Vader. It says, while you perform an attack, you may spend a charge to change a blank result to a hit result. Which is, he's pretty much going to guarantee 3 hits. Or almost guarantee 4 hits. This is basically Darth Vader never misses, right? You've still got advanced targeting computer. So basically, the only problem you're going to have with him is he doesn't get the double actions, right? So that's a little bit of an issue. But if you have a target lock, you don't even need to. Again, think of Darth Vader chasing somebody down the trench. You're kind of going straight after him. You're just right behind him. You don't have to worry about barrel rolling as much. You don't have to worry about focus for defense as much. And oh, by the way, you can spend force for defense on this guy like you couldn't on the TIE Defender. While you perform a primary attack against the Defender, you have locked. Roll an additional die and change 1 hit to a crit. So, okay, this is just as so you're getting an extra die. Even at range 2 or 3, you're getting 3 dice. At range 1, you're getting 4 dice. You got marksmanship on there, right? Again, if you can line it up, if you can get right behind him and chase him down, you're going to be changing a die to a crit. You're going to be changing a damage to a crit. You're going to be changing a damage to a crit. You're going to be changing anything to a hit. Now, if you don't roll any blanks, then you're golden. You can even afford a single blank in here and still be golden. The only problem is if you're going to get multiple blanks. That could be a problem. But then, oh, by the way, you have somebody locked, right? You get rerolls. You'd have to get like multiple blanks consistently for this to be a problem. You're probably going to have at least 2 crits on a lot of your attacks, which is just so good. And by the way, if you do get shot, you know what? You're going to get all that force back. And you can modify it. You can modify everything with force, including your defense if you need to also. And afterburners thrown in. Just complete, like, it's a fun looking Vader. I really like this Vader. I really do. I love Darth Vader, and I've always liked Darth Vader in the TIE X1. I didn't necessarily need to have Darth Vader in the TIE Defender, but this kind of beefed up Vader looks really cool. You lose the bonus action, but the cool thing is you might not need it. You might not need it. I don't mind. I don't mind having that extra shield in there as well. We got a really cool Han Solo, maybe one of the best art pieces I've ever seen in X-Wing right here. This is just an amazing art piece. Han's 3185 with 4 charge, not recurring, and a lot of new stuff with Han. Han's got a new ship ability. He's got a new pilot ability. After performing an attack that hits, you may spend a charge to perform a coordinate action, which is really cool. So he doesn't have coordinate on his action bar, but this is kind of like, think of him like helping out Luke. I was like, all right, knock it out the box, Luke, knock it out. If you guys are familiar with the old Star Wars gangster rap, you might get that reference. And you know, if you do, a fist bump if you get that reference. All right, but no, he gets some pretty cool stuff. I'm totally digging these cards, and I really like this Han Solo. But most of it is, honestly, most of it initially was the art, but then it ended up being the all the other stuff too. So you've got a free rigged cargo chute. You got the Millennium Falcon. By the way, the Millennium Falcon doesn't say it gives you evade. It just gives you evade. It's just there. It's on your action bar now, but it's still the same as the title. You got L3's programming, and then you've also got Chewbacca on there. Of course, you're gonna have Chewbacca, right? Like, you've got to have Chewbacca on there. So I love it. It's thematic. It's got a lot of what you want, and it's got a solo ability. While you defend or perform an attack, if there are no other friendly ships at range 0 to 1, and that's close range too, right? I like it. You may spend 1 charge to reroll 1 of your dice. Love it. It's kind of like Han's ability, right? It's kind of like Han's ability. It's kind of still baked in, but it allows him to also have this ability. So you got 2 abilities now. I like it. I like it quite a bit. Now, I think some of these are going to draw some comparison to Marvel Crisis Protocol, because it's like, hey, I'm just going to run Han Solo. And it's not the same thing, because you still can build your own Han Solo. You can still, do things the same way. This is just an option. And this might not be for everybody. I really like it, but I have a feeling some people aren't going to like this stuff. And the cool thing is you totally have options. Now, the cool thing is, another cool thing is, you can play all these with the scenario, but if you don't want to run the scenario, because I'm not a big scenario fan, I'll do them once in a while, but I'm kind of more of a fan of just a standard dogfight. You can run these in normal play as well. Now, granted, some people won't like that. Some people will. These are going to be tournament legal, from everything that I understand. So that's going to be interesting. And now the cool thing is that they can always adjust the costs on these too. There's no printed point cost on this, and even if there were, they could change that as well. So I'll be interested to see like what these standardized loadouts costs, because it'll be interesting to kind of compare this to building your own. There's supposed to be some some discounts potentially, or it was at least some like an early talking point that you might get a discount on something if you take the standardized loadout. But at the same time, some of these abilities, some of these pilots got some extra bonuses, like an extra shield here and there, or a new pilot ability, or cool things like that. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what the point costs are. On the back of the box, also, we can see all the different standard loadout that we're going to be getting. We're going to be getting Garvin Drace, Luke Skywalker, Jack Porkins, Biggs Darklighter, Wedge Antilles, Han Solo, Dutch. We're going to be getting Tyree. We're going to be getting Pops, and Hall Auckland. I'll be honest with you, Hall Auckland is a pilot name I don't recognize. If I lose my Star Wars card for that, if I lose my geek card, I'm sorry. I guess I'll have to look up Hall Auckland. Probably know him by a call sign rather than his name, because I don't think they said his name in the movie out loud. Maybe not. I'll have to go back and look up Hall Auckland a little more. For the Empire, we're getting Darth Vader, Backstabber, Mauler Mythil, Dark Curse, Wampa, Iden Versio, and then some unique generics, I guess. Sigma 4, Sigma 5, Sigma 6, and Sigma 7. I understand why they had to make these unique, because, they're all unique. Everything in here is unique. AMG seems to really prefer the unique aspect as opposed to the generics, and maybe with these Sigmas is kind of a way of doing that. You're like, okay, well, Sigma, I don't know, we didn't get to really look at Sigma 4, 5, 6, and 7 very much, so there's no way of knowing if they're kind of more along the lines of like a lower cost unique, or if they're more along the lines of like super aces. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. So that's an interesting bit. This is, again, you're getting 20 cards, 2 oversized scenario exclusive upgrade cards, 8 Death Star Trench tokens, 11 new ship bases, and a rules insert. So very cool. Now this is, when is this coming out? This is coming out in October. October is when this is planned for coming out. So, so pretty cool. Pretty cool. They're kind of spacing things out a little bit. I'm really interested to see what else they have planned. And I want to hear what you guys think. What other scenario packs with these standardized loadouts, or standard loadouts rather, do you kind of envision? I think they've got to get like every faction kind of covered. My guess, if I had to guess, and I'll do some guessing here. My guess is that we're going to see a Resistance First Order one. It seems pretty likely. I think you could do something from The Last Jedi. I think that kind of works out well, like that Dreadnought kind of battle. It seems like a pretty good one. You had some ships there. I think there's also you're going to do like a Battle of Coruscant, right? Like you're going to do a Clone Wars one. You're going to get Separatists and Clone Wars. And I think for Scum, you might get like a Scum Civil War. Like, you know, they could easily include some Mandalorian stuff, but it doesn't have to be just purely Mandalorian. I think you might just get one pack that's like all Scum with like maybe a, you know, Scum fighting amongst themselves. Or Scum could be a little bit of everything. It could be Scum, like 6 Scum pilots and then like 1 or 2 from every other faction, and just have like a full-out brawl. I don't know. But my guess is that Scum will probably be more of a self-contained one, whereas all the other ones have like direct mirror match sort of things. But then again, they could just do wider ones that just have a little bit of everything. I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Like, there's certain pilots that appear in a lot of different ships and stuff. They could do like a Sabine pack or a Hera pack, where it's just like Hera and everything. You know, they could do stuff like I guess the sky's really the limit on what they can do, but they are planning on doing more of these. And hopefully in the future we'll see some previews of a little bit more. Maybe before Mini Extravaganza is complete, we'll see some more. Maybe before this video actually publishes, there'll be a hint of some more too. So I could even be behind between when I'm recording and when it goes live. So, all right, that is going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I can't wait to hear more. Also, jump in Discord, and let's keep the discussion going in there. We have links in the description below, so you can check out all of that stuff. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing and help make this channel possible. So thank you for continuing to support the channel, and thank you so much for watching. I will talk to you guys later. May the Force be with you, and don't get your shoelaces caught in your X-Wing when you're trying to jump out, because you could land in the swamp.